Today is January 2nd, 2020. Happy New Year. Only 2 days into the new decade. How's it going? I know I'm having a good time celebrating the holidays. It's another Throwback Thursday, and we'll come back to you next week with a brand new guest and brand new content. In the meantime, I bring you today the Brandprenuer, Mr. Nick Nelson. Enjoy. Hey y'all, this is Culture Soup, where tech, culture, and business collide. It's a podcast that spoons up everything hot from social media. I'm your host, L. Michelle Smith, and each episode we bring you some of the most notable and not yet notable thought leaders in tech, business, and culture. I know you've heard the term Instagram famous. For those of you that don't know, those are those people that show up on Instagram, have tons of followers and tons of engagement, and they're the ones that get brand deals. Well, I circulate in another realm. In fact, someone called me a B2B creator, and I'd never really considered that before, but he was right. Some of us are B2B influencers. My next guest is just that. He is what you'd call LinkedIn famous. Just as I met Natasha Bowman in my LinkedIn feed, I met Nick Nelson, the Brandprenuer. Not even connected to him yet. 2 people removed in my second layer network. His face continued to pop up in my feed with his videos where he's branding people in their personal brands. Managers, general managers at corporations, people who are trying to stand out and be found on social media. He calls it Brand Day. Well, Nick just kept showing up in my feed over and over and over again. I didn't reach out to connect just yet, but I did like his content. Fast forward to 2018. Remember the story of Dr. Eric Winston Walton of Lead 360? Yeah, a lot of roads end with him. Remember how he asked me to join the faculty of Lead 360? Well, as it turns out, Nick Nelson is also faculty at Lead 360. He's the Brandprenuer. He's all about personal brands, and he is another one of my frat brothers from Alpha Phi Alpha, like Dr. Walton. Without further ado, I want you to meet my friend, the Brandprenuer, Nick Nelson. Hey, my brother.
What's up, sis?
Hey, everybody. I'm so excited to have Nick Nelson with me. He is the Brandprenuer, and I got to tell you, the first time I saw him, I'm scrolling through LinkedIn, and we weren't even connected. But this man's content is so strong, and his followership is so active that it just bubbled up in my feed. And he was taking pictures of people, but it wasn't just pictures. He was actually crafting their brands. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I am good. Thank you so much for coming on the Culture Soup podcast.
My pleasure.
Listen, Brandprenuer. What does that mean? Tell everybody what you do.
I tell everybody that you need to have a brand statement or a purpose statement. So my purpose statement is I help remarkable people, products, and organizations get noticed. I keep it very simple because get noticed is very important because nowadays what I've learned is that everybody is ADD on steroids, and that's because our phones have made us that way. And our habits have made us that way also. We just don't have time.
Right.
So you have to be very intentional in terms of what you're presenting out in the atmosphere, and it has to be different, and it has to be presented in such a way that allows you, that stops somebody from taking the habit of scroll.
Right.
You have to have something that will get somebody to do this one simple thing, take their index finger, hit the center of the phone and press stop and say, what's this?
Yeah.
right? And so what I noticed is that there is a collective of people that are late millennials and above, so Gen Xers and beyond, that were taught a few different things. We were taught that it's all about how you show up in person. It's how you work. It's what you say, what you communicate when you're at networking events, who you're connected to in real life. All of those things are very important. But in the society that we live in nowadays, where most people are active online all throughout the day, and you're looking at, iPhone has a feature called screen time. How much time have you been on your phone? And on average, the average person, at least 5 or 6 hours, or more per week, right? And so there's a lot of activity that happens in terms of people just being on phones. That's how you are made aware of things in real time. But many of us, especially people of color, we just haven't acclimated over to that, or we feel uncomfortable. Whether it's, I don't feel safe, I don't know what to say, I don't understand the value of social media, or
I don't
I'm
have
private.
time.
I'm private, or I don't have time, right? What I try to do, and what I do with my company, is to dispel some of those behaviors, myths, and change a new behavior. That behavior, as crazy as it is, it's phone first.
Yeah.
It's phone first because nowadays people want to be voyeuristic. They want to look inside of your life. And social media platforms are free because they reward that behavior. They want two things. They want your data and they want your content. That's the whole reason why social media is free right now. However, if you leverage social media to your advantage, you can actually be known for a thing. Or if you're known for one thing, you can, if you're consistent and you're hyper-focused on a community, you can be engaged you can be known for another thing very quickly. And that's my story.
I love it. So you know what? This leads me to our culture soup moment. How about we have one, Nick? You ready? Okay, awesome. So my culture soup moment really surrounds the idea of personal branding, which seems like it's pretty new because we talked about this phone and having access in this voyeuristic society where this individual can log on and see things and scroll through their newsfeed. But it also is something that's been around for a long time. We just haven't seen it manifest in our faces in this digital world the way it does today. So you capitalize and actually help people to leverage their personal brands. What are you seeing online when it comes to trends that is working?
So online, in terms of trend that's working, it's very engaging, authentic content that is done in a very vlog-ish style way.
And let me tell you what I mean by that. VLOG, right?
VLOG,
okay.
That's correct. And let me tell you what I mean by that. It used to be where individuals and corporations felt they needed to have very pristine video that is lit very well, color corrected, has the corporate bed music in the background. Hello, my name is, and this is this specific company, and this is what we present. What I'm seeing nowadays is that, number one, by the time you give your name, people have scrolled on. So no introduction is needed. Just start talking.
Right.
The other thing is, as you're talking, you have to talk like you are engaged, excited, and you got to get as much as you can in and within those first few seconds, because you're trying to get people to stop the behavior of scrolling. So if you don't have a certain level of energy about it, then people will just move on. People like authenticity. They like to feel like you're talking to them, not the manufactured you. It's almost like, for my fellas, it's there is the real you, and then there's the representative.
Right.
Nowadays, nobody wants to see the representative.
No.
They ain't got time for the representative. Let's cut to the chase. Let me see the real you, right? And so that's what people want to see nowadays. They want to get an understanding of what am I getting? I don't have time for games. Just give it to me straight. And they like their content and their video, and now they're used to consuming it in that way, where the pretty videos don't get the likes, shares, and the engagement.
Right.
But the very much so authentic videos do.
Okay, so let's talk about imagery and how compelling imagery can stop the scroll. It's what you do. So tell us more about the Brandprenuer and what you're doing with these individuals to tell a very authentic story with images.
So there's two things when it comes to a brand. It's what do you want to be known for, and how do you want to make people feel? That, out of everything, is not my definition. It is the definition of a brand. If you look at any brand in this world, they are known for a single thing, and they make you feel a certain way. That's the first thing that I get my hyper achievers to do. And that's hard. It's very hard because
they have to narrow it down.
They have to narrow it down. What I call it being Pacific. It's really Pacific because you have to go deep.
As opposed to Atlantic.
As opposed to Atlantic, you gotta be Pacific because you gotta go deep.
Right.
Deep, right? It's not you can't be too vague. You have to be very specific in terms of who you're trying to reach and understand how they want to receive things. And so it goes beyond. Imagery is important. Imagery is important because it's very strategic. People like attractive things. And what I've learned here is the only reason why I add imagery as a part of what I do, and the reason why I shoot specifically the way I shoot. I'm not the natural light person. I'm not even a photographer. Don't tell nobody. Okay? But it's our secret, right?
Okay, I won't tell anybody.
I learned all this stuff by watching YouTube, by watching these young cats, right?
Right.
But I took the time to learn it and perfect it a certain way, leveraging light. See, the thing about people of color, I don't care if you're light skinned or if you bliggity black. We all need light.
Yes,
right?
we do.
And it helps to highlight and helps to accentuate us. That's the first thing. The next thing we need to feel is comfortable. What I noticed with that many people who's trying to stick a camera in front of your face is that they're either a bit corny, they have no personality, or they're not real.
Yeah.
I'm not any of those things. In fact, I'm not afraid of the CEO.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of anybody. Right. I'm going to talk to you a way in which you can receive. It's very respectful, but it's very, okay, what you doing? What we doing here?
Right. Let's get it done, which they can appreciate.
And I'm going to need you to act a certain way.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you will thank me for it when you see you, but only better.
Right. That's
and
awesome.
That's all I strive for. And the other thing that I've learned, Michelle, is that far too often, people in my industry, you know what we got? We got two things. We got words and we got workbooks. People want more than words in a workbook. They actually want actual strategies and solutions that are tailored custom to them because everybody's different and they want a takeaway, right? They want something tangible that even beyond the time that we've spent together, I have something that memorializes the occasion. That's called perceived value. I learned about perceived value at the Essence Music Festival with one simple brand, McDonald's.
Yes.
McDonald's had these, they couldn't have been, Michelle, more than 2 cents a piece to create these bags that had African American women on them with specific artwork. These black women would wait for the doors of Essence to open.
Yes.
In flip-flops, tennis shoes, or whatever they had
Doesn't
on,
matter.
would run, and fight.
Yes. And run you over.
Over these 2 cent bags, right? Because the perceived value was, I love them. They are a representation of me, and no one else is doing it.
Right. It just blows my mind because that floor, that convention or conference center floor, is massive.
It is.
And you'll see lines and lines and lines of my sisters,
Right.
waiting for some little tchotchke.
A
And
time.
I'm going, okay, they're dropping a beat. You know, they got great music going on. But they will stand there longer than you would at Disney with, not a fast pass.
Without a fast pass. And who does that?
Right.
Oh my God! You just came from Disney. Let me tell you something.
Exactly.
You want a fast pass,
right?
Let's be clear. But
Yes.
I mean, it's about what's valuable and to who. You're dealing with a audience. For us, we see that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But for them, it's a unique experience, and I'm so glad you brought that up. That's the whole thing about what I teach people in terms of their brand. You got to treat yourself as an experience, right? There's the in-person experience and the online experience, and the two have to be similar.
Straight line.
They have to be similar. If I see something online that I'm attracted to, but I meet with you and it falls flat, it doesn't work, and you'll actually turn me all the way off.
Right.
The best compliment that I ever get, Michelle, is that, Nick, first of all, you look like you look online.
Yes.
And you act like you act online.
Yes.
Right? I'm a hot mess all the way around. I don't try to hide it. But, I give you forewarning, right? In terms of, this is who I am. And if you like a hot mess that's brilliant, holla at your brother.
Right.
But if you need somebody that's buttoned up and has a whole lot of, that's not me. And that's fine.
Well,
I'm
and
okay
you're
with
right.
that also.
Your offline experiences, I think, literally build the case and the story for what you want to share online so that your online experience is a part of that straight line. And I got to tell you that I met you first online, but then second, I met you offline. And we were in Atlanta at the Lead 360 Combine.
You eating your burger?
That's right. I was sitting in the lounge. My introverted self had come up to the surface, and I was just dining by myself. And you eased up beside me, and you
said,
asked
"What's up,
me,
girl?"
Yeah. And you're like, I know you're eating this burger, and you look like you're really enjoying it. So if I'm disturbing you, I was like, no, you are Nick Nelson. It is so good to meet you. But yes, my offline experience aligned with my online experience, and it was a pleasure to meet you, Nick, in the flesh.
Thank you. Yeah, you eating your burger over there. I was like, I know this. I said, my whole info was like, I know her. I was like, let me just holler. You know what I mean? Because the thing about it here is like, I'm an introvert also. I'm an introverted extrovert.
That's exactly who I am.
I enjoy, because I'm in front of people so much, and I've been in front of people a long time. And then even, from my social persona, and I say persona, it's not a negative word.
No,
but
it's just who you are.
I give a lot. I give a lot in terms of energy, right? And so in those downtimes, and then I have a wife and I have a child, and they need my energy as well.
Right.
So by the time I have time alone, I cherish it.
Oh yeah. Right? Oh yeah.
I'm good, man. I cherish it because I don't get it often. And so I can appreciate you eating your burger alone, and I thank you for allowing me to join you and invade your space.
No, it was the Nick Nelson. And we were called there as faculty members for Lead 360. And you actually worked the workshop right next door to mine.
Right next door to you, yeah.
You want to talk about what you covered?
Yeah, I talked about being a corporate influencer. So the thing about branding is that oftentimes you have many people that think, well, I have to be an entrepreneur, but I don't want to, I'm not an entrepreneur. I work for a corporate organization. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking for the next job. Mm-hmm. Well, branding is more than about looking for the next job. Again, if you recall, it's what do you want to be known for and how do you want to make people feel? Mm-hmm. And so anybody that tells me, well, I'm not a brand, I challenge them and I say, well, let's pull up Google real quick and let's put in your name and the city you live in.
Right.
And then we take a look. If something comes up, we say, okay, what comes up? And where do you rank? Mm-hmm. If nothing comes up, that says something also. That says that you are a ghost. And people just don't know you exist.
And no one can search for you, which is very important.
It's very
internally
important.
And externally.
Exactly. Because, again, people are nosy. Mm-hmm. Right? People are nosy, they are judgmental, and they're voyeuristic. Yes. I don't mean no harm, but that's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's all about perceived value. We learned what that is. Now, what are you putting out there in the atmosphere to craft a narrative for yourself? Because by crafting a narrative also becomes and begets opportunity. Yes. Right? If you are crafting yourself and a narrative of yourself as insightful, as popular, as connected, as whatever, the thing about it here is you can either create your own narrative or give that power to someone else, and they create a story that's not necessarily the story of you.
Absolutely.
And so,
and doesn't that speak to the importance of knowing your value?
Yes.
Because if you don't know your value and communicate it, someone else might. Mm-hmm. They may or may not get it right.
Correct. And so that's why it's very much so important to understand. One of the most important things in terms of branding really is boundaries. It's understanding your value system and what you stand for and what you won't stand for. Mm-hmm. And, because we follow each other and I follow you, I think you do an excellent job of talking about what you stand for and what you will not stand for. Mm-hmm. And it needs to be very clear so people know how to engage you appropriately.
Right.
And engagement is something in which, and then also the right person engages you. The thing about being a brand is that people actually need what you're doing. Mm-hmm. They need you. And being a brand is not about you, but it's how you can help others. Right. And that's the thing that I try to tell people is that it's not a selfish activity. It's actually a selfless activity because what you're doing is you're making yourself available to those people who need you the most.
Access.
It's access to you, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you have to give them your cell phone number. I'm not even saying that you have to give them your email address.
Right.
That's why we have social networks. But if they have a question and they engage with you, engage back. That's even what creating friends is online. It's not the definition of friends as we know it, because that's only about 5 or less people in your circle.
Right.
But having friends online here is you like and comment and engage with me. I like and comment and engage with you. Let's be friends.
Right. And how can I support you? You bring up a very good point. People get excited about the vanity likes and measures and, that content went out there. It only got 3 likes. But the business happens in the DMs, don't you agree? I actually got a lot more engagement when I started telling people, DM me.
Let me tell you something. People want to, but they feel like I'm being intrusive or it's taboo. But if you give them permission, that's why I don't care what post you see with me. It's, hey, I'm real. Talk to me.
Right.
Matter of fact, if you want to schedule it, I started doing it. If you want to schedule a time with me, go ahead. I'll show up on the phone like clockwork. Right? Because it's about I'm accessible, and you have permission to be your voyeuristic self. And even so, if you want to talk to me without anybody knowing your business, you surely can.
And you know what? You run into that on LinkedIn. That's one of the hesitancies. And you've probably found this too. Because people are present on LinkedIn and they're very aware that their colleagues, maybe even their bosses, maybe even their supervisors are there. So they're very aware of what they share, what they like, or but if you are able to have access to somebody in their DMs, you can have a conversation that's not going to be accessible to those people that you feel are judging.
Correct. And that's why direct message is done appropriately. Business is done in the DM. If done appropriately and effectively, let me tell you, and I say this not arrogantly, not braggadociously. I built my business off of the LinkedIn direct message.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's as people engage. The key here is, though, if you're going to make yourself accessible, you have to respond, and you have to be able to keep up with it. And so where businesses fail is that when you invite people, but they show up and then there's no follow-up. Right? And that's where I see a lot of people that get into this game where they fail and actually do more harm than good because their follow-up just sucks.
Right.
And so you have to follow up and treat this. This is, somebody asked me, and this is where I realized that I don't leverage email anymore. Like, people will send me emails, and I'm just a lot slower because I've become, and my habit is social first. Right? And that's because that's where the predominance of my activity and my engagement in my business is done. And it's about multiple platforms. LinkedIn is great, but you also IG. The thing I love about and Twitter. Let me tell you something. The thing I love about these subsequent platforms is because they allow you to tell a few different stories. Yes. So with Instagram, I love the stories feature more than anything else because it gives you, it's like reality TV.
It is.
It's the equivalent of reality TV, and you can create your own reality TV show each and every day. And one show ends and it disappears. Yes. Another show shows up.
Right.
And you'll find.
But you know what? You made a really good point about that, just in detailing what the story's about. You have to be intentional about it. I think sometimes people get in IG stories and just have random things showing up. No. And don't understand why people exit. But you kind of got to keep them on the hook. I did something just yesterday when I posted the trademark registration that I had gotten in the mail. There was a story behind the trademark.
Right.
And it was a story of my friend that passed away. So after I posted the great picture of me, with the certificate, I actually posted a picture of him and said, go to my IG stories. And I literally unfolded that whole story of Ruben Canada in my podcast. And people were just like boo-hooing in my DMs.
Right. Because the thing about it, that leads us to a whole other thing. It's all about story. People love stories. Yes. And stories connect to humanity within people. That's why when people say, I wouldn't listen to, X number of minutes of content, I said, well, yes, you will. Matter of fact, you'll sit your behind down for 3 hours worth of content.
For a whole movie.
That's called the Avengers Endgame. Okay?
Yes.
Right? But what they've done here is they've established an affinity, right? They introduced you to them, and then whatever they put out, they have an audience. You have to treat your social media like you have an audience, like you have
It's
like the way
storytelling.
networks do.
Yeah.
Networks build an audience around specific shows. It can't be if networks showed the same thing every day, then they would leave out a whole truckload of people. That's
Oh
why
yeah.
they have to have different audience members and different programming, because by doing that, they attract different people and get different people's attention at different times. So
You're right.
therefore, your content can't be the same all the time. You
No.
gotta switch it up. Same way
And that's
same way the trainer is like, okay, you know what? Today we're doing legs. Tomorrow we're doing abs. Tomorrow we're doing
right.
arms. Right? To kind of switch your body up, so it's always
Right.
guessing. That's how you grow.
Well, and you know what? This is why I encourage my clients and, the brands that I work with to really understand that value proposition, because that value proposition is going to drive the kinds of content that you share. It's going to be varied, but it's going to be tied to your
See,
story.
the thing about it here is, Michelle, you saying value proposition.
Yeah.
That's a big old word. Let
It is.
Let me tell you what you do. Is what problem are you solving?
Yes.
That's it.
Absolutely.
It's at the end of the day, you understand what problem, who needs me the most?
Right.
What problem am I solving? The
Absolutely.
second you realize what problem you're solving, oh my God, who you solving it for?
Yeah. Niche
That's
that
it.
thing down.
You got to niche it all the way down. You got to be Pacific.
Pacific.
Got to go.
Not Atlantic. Pacific.
Not Atlantic.
I love it.
Not Atlantic. Not Atlantic.
I love it. So Nick, tell me a little bit about yourself. We know you're a family man. You slipped that in there. Mm-hmm. And you told me that you've been in branding and marketing for umpteen billion years, to 20 plus, right?
Yeah.
Tell me more about Nick. Tell us a story.
In 45 seconds or less, I call myself an F student. I say first I tried, then I failed, then I, figured it out. And when I say first I tried advertising and marketing out of grad school because that's what I got my degree in. But I failed because they only wanted to pay me like $15,000 a year, and I had student loans. Mama, let me be clear. So I went ahead and I did IT. Did IT for a minute. When I first started IT, I failed because they wanted to teach me how to code. I was at Accenture or at Anderson Consulting, and I didn't know anything about coding. Got kicked off my first project. But I figured out that, you know what, I'm good with people and good with managing. And so I became a project manager and program manager and did that for years. My last stint was with UPS, where I was a global program manager, doing very well, was on my track to get a gold watch. But then I said, you know what, this is not what I'm here for. Started my company, Liquid Soul, with a fraternity brother, and we got engagement with major corporations and then more specifically within entertainment, because we have other fraternity brothers, more specifically Will Packer, who's taken over Hollywood, and from others that were just starting their career. So timing was everything. So we piggybacked on that and started an entertainment marketing firm, which I ran for about 20 years until I just got pushed in another direction. Yeah. And then I said, well, you know what? I'm starting personal branding. And so I came up with Brandprenuer, hung up my shingle in November 2017, spent the first 12 months burning money, like literally burning through savings, because it's kind of like I'm just trying to figure out what it is I'm doing. And so, but it's, first I tried, then I failed, but then ultimately I figure it out. That is the entrepreneur's journey, right?
And you know what? I got to stop and say this to the listeners. That is a signature message. Did you see the way he developed that and organized it so it was very easy to understand? You talked about the 3 Fs.
3 Fs. And I'm an F student. See, A students are those people who have to be perfect all the time. Perfection is not entrepreneurship.
Absolute this and absolute that.
Entrepreneurship is, all right, let me try it. Damn, it didn't work. Or damn, okay, I got this event. I got to get these number of people there. Oh my God, ain't nobody signed up. What do I do? Oh, they finally showed up. Or
or you pivot.
It's like literally you're constant. And the thing about it here is, many times you're doing this by your damn self. It's
Yes,
like
solopreneurs.
it's the loneliest thing, but it's the most exhilarating thing when you figure it out.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I just tell people, don't think it's this, wonderful ride all the time. It like literally you gotta when I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning editing photos, it ain't sexy, right?
Yeah.
It's
And
so
you know
nice.
what? This is why I show up on the podcast. Sometimes on my little, tidbits that I'll put out there in video, I may not have on a stitch of makeup. Now I know I'm presentable.
But you know what? Them others.
But this is real.
Them others don't. Let me tell you something. This is the thing about this thing, especially with I'm so glad you said this. Especially with my sisters. Well, my hair got to be a certain way. Or my makeup. Let me tell you something. If you are providing insights and giving people information, they don't care if you green. They don't care what you look like, right?
Exactly.
But if you're superficial and ain't saying nothing, yes, they can be like, next.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right? What are you talking about?
I think the importance of authenticity now, the context of it. Everything around us is fake. We are innately searching for what's real.
What's real? That's all we're looking for.
And when we see it, we're going to stop scrolling.
We're going to stop and we're going to be like, okay.
In this world of fakeness. I mean, we swim in it, especially online. You turn on the television, you turn the corner. Things just aren't real.
Yes.
So we're in a dire position to find what's real. And when we discover it, what do? It's over.
Yeah.
We're endeared.
Yeah.
So important.
But I mean, the thing about it, man, is authenticity is important because there are so many people out there that claim they do a certain thing, right? And the inherent nature of people is we are driven by emotion, feeling, right? And we look for people, things that make us feel a certain way or that solve a problem that we have. And if we feel that you can do it, or you present yourself let me tell you the value of authenticity. The value of authenticity and showing yourself to do a certain thing consistently. Back in the day, the way referrals worked here is, hey, I need a mechanic. Joe has worked on my car for years. Go see Joe. He's honest and he will give you a fair price. Referrals came by you actually having relationship and actual experience with that person. Now, let me tell you how referrals come online. You know what? Hey, I follow somebody and I think that they might be able to assist you. Now, I've never worked with them before, but they look like everybody says that or seems to have a great experience. And I think they might be great for you. Why don't you go ahead and reach out? That's the way referrals work right now. Amazon changed the whole game with the whole concept of reviews, right? That's what people look for nowadays. They'll even DM your clients and say, hey, what was your experience, right? And so referrals are a bit different nowadays where it had to be, where you had to have engagement with the person directly, not necessarily anymore. Many of my referrals just come from people saying, well, you know what, so-and-so saw you online and I looked at your profile.
Right.
And business comes from there.
Another argument to be found and be searchable.
Yeah,
if you have a presence.
Yeah.
People
can do. I mean, and they want it. Right. They want it the same way that Michelle. You're not going to go and shop for a car by going from car lot to car lot.
Right.
You're going to go.
Not anymore.
You're going to search online. You'll have an idea of the type of car you want, but you're going to search online to see what it looks like, what's the interior like, what are the reviews, how much should I even pay for it? Right? All of this stuff is done in the privacy of your own home. And that's what people do with the people that they reach out to. They want to be able to test it, try it out, see it in action, and then if they feel it's a good fit, then they will engage. And you want that also, because if you do it right, it's not a question of you selling yourself. You've already sold yourself. Your online presence has sold you. All you're doing is negotiating price.
You know what? You raise a very good point, and it also underscores the reason why vanity metrics should not drive you. Because all of that activity that you just described was not a like, it wasn't even a comment. That means that, and I like the way LinkedIn actually shows you views.
Yeah.
Because there's more action going on behind the scenes than you're even aware of, and one day they either show up in your DMs or you get a call.
Right.
After all that homework and groundwork and all of that stuff has been done.
Right. But that's
So I tell people all the time, just because you don't think that content has performed, you shouldn't take it down. Because there's a school of thought that's like, okay, if you didn't get X amount of likes in the first 10 minutes, take it down. No. Leave it up.
Leave it up. People are always watching. They're not only a few people will actually like and comment your stuff. Most people are voyeuristic, and they just look and they watch and they make perceptions and they judge. And then it's in advertising, they call it an impression.
Right.
The thing about people and the thing about stuff, period, is that, Michelle, you're great at what you do, okay? You're great at what you do, but you are absolutely forgettable. And I don't mean that in any negative way. What I'm saying is that you always have to consistently be top of mind, because that's the way we think nowadays. If I need something, who can I go to? The person who's top of mind.
Right. Everything's fleeting.
Like literally.
Yes, you have to remind them consistently. Even in the agency business, I always tell people, you start a business, you are always winning the business. Every day, every minute, you are pitching the business. Every second.
You never stop selling. And the thing about it here is many people just don't like selling. They don't like selling themselves. They feel like they're not being humble, or as they say in Black church, humble. Right?
Humble. But you know what? If you're thinking of it as selling, you're not doing it right anyway.
Right. Like
it's about relationship.
All I'm doing is I'm giving you what you want. I'm allowing you to see what it is that I do, and I'm doing it in a way, and I'm inviting you to connect with me if you feel that I'm a good fit. Right? That's it. It's called call to action. That's where most people fail, is that they do not have a call to action. And they wonder, well, you know what? You told me to do this stuff, but ain't nobody reaching out to me. Did you invite them to?
Yes.
Another thing I learned in Black church. Black church, at the very end, after the pastor has preached,
well,
won't you come?
The doors of the church
The
stand
doors
ajar.
of the church are open.
Yes.
Won't you come?
Won't you come?
If it's good enough for pastor, it's good enough for you.
Absolutely. 3 points and a hoop, and won't y'all come?
Won't you come?
Won't you come? And
It's
then the
your time.
choir reiterates it in song.
It sure is.
Yeah. There's a lot you can learn about life and relationships right there in the church, but I'll start preaching.
Yes. Me and you both. I got a whole other thing, Michelle. Everything I learned about marketing, I learned in church. I'll tell you about that one later.
Yeah, I like that. Where is that? Is that content online, my brother? I'm
No.
hold you accountable.
Just keep scrolling. You'll see it one day.
Just keep scrolling. All right. Everybody, Nick Nelson, where can we find you online, Nick?
All things at Brandprenuer or Nick F. Nelson.
Awesome.
If you spelled it wrong, you spelled it right.
Okay, gotcha. That's good. Good for you. Well thought. You got any big projects coming up you want to talk about?
I got a lot of stuff. A lot of it is dealing with people, working with actually the Mercedes-Benz stadiums with the Home Depot backyard. We're doing a lot of activity for them. So I'm starting to get more corporate engagement and transitioning over in that capacity.
Awesome.
But not leaving my people behind. So that's and then also here in August I'm launching the next big thing from Brandprenuer, which is called Brand Social, which is 0 to 90. Your brand from 0 to brand in 90 days. And that's what I'm providing the tools and resources people need to be able to post consistently and just eliminating all the excuses so you get more.
I love it. Good work, Nick. I really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
And I know my listeners were thrilled to hear all that rich information from you. I want to have you on again sometime.
Please, I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, bye-bye. What an amazing conversation with Nick Nelson, the Brandpreneur. Hey, I'm pretty busy right now. I can't wait to see you at the MAC 3 Career Services one-day drive-in.
The Culture Soup Podcast is a production of No Size Communication, LLC.
The Culture Soup Podcast is a registered trademark of No Silos Communications, LLC.